Hey, why do super athletes take vitamins and minerals, and why do doctors recommend prenatal vitamins for pregnant women, and why do us as parents give them to our children? I think that we could all agree that we want to promote and enhance our body's full potential, right? So, what about vitamins and minerals for deer? Alright, so I wanted to do a little experiment to see if a do-it-yourselfer like you or me could create an effective deer mineral that would compete with the big box store brands. And most importantly, could we do it while being effective and offering the deer what they need? Not only that, but we're going to dive into the hows, what, whens, wheres, whys, and who farted. All that and more, so stick around. Now I know this is a long video, but it's packed with a ton of useful information, so to make it easier on y'all, I'll include a time step over here or down in the description below. That way you can click on that time marker and it'll take you to the part of the video that you're most interested in watching. Alright, so first things first, you're either here because you want to know what the best mineral is to attract deer to your trail camera, or maybe you're just tired of being ripped off by those big box store prices. And then there's those of us who's looking to supplement for a healthier deer herd. And then of course you always got that one guy who's looking to add a few more inches. That's what she said. But seriously though, let's talk about antler growth requirements and feed consumption. Alright, so research has shown that a buck needs calcium, phosphorus, and around 18% protein to maximize antler growth, and that deer consume somewhere between 1 and 5% of their body weight in food each day. So let's say we have a 150-pound buck that's been eating 3% of his body weight, which would be about 4.5 pounds of food a day. And if we wanted to hit that magical 18% protein level for antler growth, he would need to consume about 1 pound in protein. Now when cattle farmers feed mineral, they do it on a per head basis. Now there might be some variables in there, but the average is usually around 3 to 4 ounces per head a day. Now I'm not sure of a way to gauge how much a wild deer consumes of mineral each day, but think about this. If a cow weighing well over 1,000 pounds only needs 3 to 4 ounces, then by comparison a 150 to 200 pound deer would require less than 1 ounce. Which brings me to my next point. While we can't gauge the intake amount, we can improve the consumption rate by supplementing with granular type minerals over block type minerals. Think about it like this. If you was wanting to get the most nutrients out of something, would you rather lick on a block and just basically be tasting it, or would you rather be able to take a bite and get a mouthful of it? Now it goes without saying that deer are more than likely going to get the minerals and nutrients that they need from plants, but what we're trying to do is supplement for what might be lacking in those plants. And chances are, unless you're in a place with rich soil, your native plants and food plots will be lacking those needed minerals. And that's why we lime and fertilize, right? Trust me, there's a reason those soil-rich farmlands produce bigger deer, and it starts in the dirt. Now I can't confirm this personally, but some research suggests that growing antlers can only grow up to the mineral or the nutrient that is most lacking, and then they stop and are held or capped off to the most limiting factor. So if you're lacking quality food high in protein, supplement with protein, and vice versa. But if all you can offer is minerals, then use minerals. There's nothing wrong with it. I like to offer everything I can to maximize potential for not only bucks, but does and fawns too. The other main factor that people want to overlook is age. A buck can't express his full potential if he's killed as a 2 or 3-year-old. So if you're expecting to put out a trophy rock and turn a 100-inch 2-year-old into a 4-year-old 160-inch buck, it's not going to happen. So now that we got all that out of the way, what are some things that we should be looking for? And to that I say, it's ultimately going to depend on your goal. Most of us use mineral sites as a tool to get trail camera pictures and with hopes of creating a pattern in early season deer movement. But on top of that, and as cliche as it sounds, a lot of us are supplementing for a healthier deer herd. So if you're in the group who just wants pictures, then any high salt content minerals will work. But if you're trying to improve the health of your herd, then we need to understand what minerals can benefit deer and what minerals we're actually buying. And for that, we just look at the guaranteed analysis on the seed bag, on the mineral bag. Now most of us think of calcium and phosphorus first because they are two of the main minerals found in deer antlers and are required for optimum antler growth. And it's said that daily requirements for these two minerals increase 4 times the normal amount during antler growing stage. Now this could be due to the fact that deer bank these two minerals in their skeletal system and transfer them during antler growth, and they're simply just replenishing. But what other minerals are important to deer? Let's talk about sodium or salt, because whether or not you're aware, that's what the majority of you are buying, and a lot of these brands are marketing it as some kind of magic deer attractant and selling it to consumers for a major profit. Trophy Rock, Deer Cane, Lucky Buck, a lot of these companies are just selling you overpriced salt. And a lot of them's even making false claims, but we're going to get into that in the Who Farted section later. Now salt does serve a few purposes, and one is that deer love it. They actually crave it and seek it out. But why? Well, it's pretty common knowledge that spring brings rain and warmer temperatures, right? And then plant loaf explodes and it carries through into the summer. And in turn, the deer start hammering all this luscious new green growth, which eventually causes a sodium deficiency from all the potassium and water intake. And to counter that, they seek out the salt. The salt also helps with digestion, and it also just tastes good, and it helps to disguise the bitter taste of minerals. I don't know if any of you ever tasted a vitamin or any kind of minerals, but it tastes pretty bad, so the salt helps disguise that taste. Zinc can also be beneficial as it plays a role in early antler development. It also stimulates the deer's immune system, and it aids in healing and helps them cope in times of stress. Now, some scientists believe that a lack of copper in a deer's diet could lead to a higher risk of chronic wasting disease, which Dr. James Crow, or aka the deer doctor, agrees with this. And as with humans, an iron deficiency in deer can cause anemia too. Just don't go using medicated feed or horse feed or goat feed and stuff like that. Cattle feed's okay, but most of these animals have a different tolerance level for different minerals, so keep that in mind. So now we know the benefits of deer using minerals, of the when and whys, which is when is during the spring and summer, why because of the sodium deficiency. So that covers the when and why. Let's get into the hows and wheres. How is all about preference. Some people like myself will just dump granular straight out on the ground. Now others like to dig holes and mix the minerals in with the soil. And if you're using blocks, rocks, or bricks, which I don't recommend, you can just set them straight on the ground or up on a stump. The deer's going to eat the minerals right off of whatever surface you put them on. Same for the liquids. And over time it may look like the minerals have disappeared, but in reality it has dissolved into the ground or the stump. Don't worry, the deer will continue to dig and eat the minerals that have leached into whatever surface that you put them on. Now the practical thing to do is to put trail cameras on your mineral sites to gauge the usage, but if you're not, you can still see signs of use. Look for hoof marks in the dirt or on the mineral blocks themselves, and where they've been chewing on the stumps. And in time you'll notice a hole forming where they paw and dig into the dirt for the minerals. And that's a good sign. All well-established mineral sites will end up a giant hole from years of use. And to maintain a mineral site, all you need to do is refreshing it maybe no more than once a month. And you can go longer than that, but I like to do mine about every 4 to 6 weeks. Now a lot of people might be wondering, where exactly do you put your mineral sites at? And to that I say, basically in the same places that you would be hunting. Think of funnels and pinch points near watering holes and feeding sources and field edges and places like that where you normally see a lot of deer. Now bedding areas might seem like a good place to go put a mineral site, but when you think about it, it's not exactly a place that you want to be going and jumping deer up and leaving scent all the time when you're going in there and refreshing your sites and checking your trail cameras. So I personally avoid putting mineral sites in those locations. Now another place that I avoid is open fields. Just from my experience, the deer use them way less or not even at all. So I avoid open fields when I use my mineral sites. Deer like to feel secure, so keep that in mind whenever you're putting your mineral sites out. Now another question that gets asked a lot is, how many mineral sites do I need on my property, or how many mineral sites per acre do I need? And you're going to hear everything from 1 per 20 acre or 1 per 200 acres is all you'll need. And I say don't get caught up in that, because it's going to be different on everybody's property. There's not a one fits all for everybody's property. My property is going to be different than your property. And it's going to depend on how the deer use your property. It's going to depend on herd size. It's going to depend on bachelor groups, does and fawns and stuff like that. For example, I have 2 mineral sites that's only 300 yards apart, and on one of them, does and fawns will hit it, and there's hardly ever any bucks on it. But on the other one, bucks come to it, does and fawns come to it. So just experiment, you know, put your trail camera on it. If you're not happy with the usage, then move it. It might only take 50 yards and they'll start hammering it. So let the deer tell you where they want it at, and once you're happy with the activity on that site, leave it alone. Alright, who farted? I'm gonna put this directly on Lucky Buck Minerals, simply for the fact of their bigger rack guarantee stamped right here on the top of their bucket. Now this is an old bucket. This is empty. I use this buckets for whatever reasons, but bigger racks or your money back guarantee. So how do they get away with that guarantee? Well, if you look down here, it says if the whitetails on and around your property don't have much bigger racks and you're the judge, after feeding Lucky Buck Mineral for 2 years year round, we'll give you your money back. Sounds like a pretty good guarantee, don't it? But go back to that. After feeding Lucky Buck Mineral for 2 years. 2 years, everybody's gonna have a bigger rack anyway. Usually they get bigger year by year. That's how they can make that guarantee. Don't fall for it. All right, y'all ready for this do-it-yourself mineral mix? Let's get her done. One part Dical. Oh, just busted that. 1 part stock salt. 2 parts trace mineral. 2 parts trace minerals. 1 part Dical. 1 part stock salt. Here I got some cherry Kool-Aid, secret ingredient. I'm going to use a cap full of this. Dump that in there. It smells so strong. It'll be a good attractant. Just some old-fashioned Quaker Oats oatmeal. Use about a half a canister of this. In case you're wondering, that's for protein. I think that's 7 grams of protein. Alright, then we're going to mix this up. I'm going to repeat what I did because this bucket will hold 20 pounds of mineral. 1 part stock salt, 1 part Dical, 2 parts trace mineral. We'll mix that up some more, and I'm going to repeat with the same measurements. Got my Lucky Buck guarantee on there. What a joke. Alright, this is going to be homemade versus Deer Cane Black Magic. Alright, you can clearly tell the difference right now that the homemade is red on the left and the Black Magic is the whitish gray on the right. Alright, let's get a trail camera put on here. If you haven't yet, check out my video on how to make these trail camera mounts. Alright, at this location we are going to be using Mineral Dirt 180 by Antilogics. Alright, location number 3, this is Record Rack Minerals. Serious racks. Another false claim that minerals grow bigger racks. Alright, so this third location, look, there's a deer right here just walked out on me. Don't even care that I'm here, does he? Anyway, what I was trying to say, this third location here is on the edge of a food plot. Never had minerals out here before. Really don't want minerals out here now, but for the sake of this video, we're going to do it. But I'm going to get me a trail camera put up in this tree over here, and we'll be done in the field today. Hey, if you're still here, I just want to thank you for watching and ask that if y'all have any brand comparison ideas or product comparison ideas that you'd like to see me do, drop a comment down below. I'd love to do some more videos for you. And remember, if you ain't strung out on something, you ain't doing nothing. We'll see you next time right here on Strung Out Outdoors.